Part 1. The history of me in general, and my condition. So I was born and stuff, and by the time I was 2, I was already really good at maths. At this age, I literally figured out my timetables. I was also diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, so ask the entire antimatter dimensions Discord to understand that I just don't know how to do normal social interactions. Since I was 6, I have had many different interests. This has basically led up until now. Let's talk about my Asperger's syndrome, which is a high-functioning autism spectrum disorder. First of all, there are a few common misconceptions about this condition. First of all, it is considered a social disorder, but it is definitely more than that, as we will discuss. Also, it isn't exactly a disability. I still live a normal life, but some things are special about me. Now I will list all the things about me that come from my condition. Number 1. It actually is partly a social disorder. I like to be alone, and I need special teachers to guide me, and I am banned in a lot of places on the internet, as I can't do normal social interactions. I'm kind of an introvert, especially after the lockdown, which they should extend for another year or so. Number 2. I am very rigid. I can't stand little changes in things. I have to go to a different restaurant just to get a slightly different thing. I will not go into more detail because of thing number 3. I am very irritable with changes in routine. I also don't like it when cookie clicker is slightly different because of seasons. Number 3. Food is definitely a big part of my condition. The list of foods I can eat is very narrow, and because I eat the same thing every day, I get bored of it then have to eat a new thing. My parents are always worried about me. I am very underweight and skinny, maybe because I'm a giraffe. My body mass index, as you can guess, is ridiculously low. They want me to eat as many things as possible, which they might not want most people to do, and yet, I don't want to, as I get bored of everything quickly, and have very little things I actually like. There is another aspect of my food problem, which is that I don't like to eat in front of other people. I just feel uncomfortable. I often have to ask my mom to leave the kitchen before I can have breakfast. This is probably because food is a big and sensitive topic in general for me. Also, I don't exactly feel 100% comfortable talking about it right now, or even making the October 22nd question of the day on my Discord server. Number 4. I have sensory sensitivity. This is related to number 3, as I like or dislike foods way more than normal. It's either the best thing ever and an obsession, or I can't stand it. Nothing in between. On my old channel, there was a food or drink thing I was obsessed with and put in the thumbnail of 70% of my videos and my profile picture. Another hint about me for ex-noob speakable. My sensory sensitivity does not only apply to food. I have to wear earplugs at lunch every day, because I can't stand the noise of cutlery clinking, especially when the lunch ladies are putting it away, and all the kids are really loud. Number 5. It makes me talented at stuff like maths. I have a nerdy brain. It definitely has advantages. I think these are the main symptoms. My life cycle from age 6 onwards was have an obsession, get bored of it after a few months, have a new one. Part 2. All of my interests, and what makes me special. Now let's talk about all my interests and talents. Number 1. I am a good geometry dash player. I have done a freaking extreme demon, pog-est a moment. Number 2. I am amazing at solving Rubik's Cubes. Easy way to impress almost anyone. Number 3. I know hundreds of decimal places of pi, and I do not find it hard. I could learn another 100 in one sitting if I didn't procrastinate. I also can store 10 to 12 numbers in my working memory. I'm also really good at remembering the exact day or year of many events, as you might see when I go over my history in more detail. Number 4. I am also an incrementalist and Googologist, but this is not something that I will make my living from. I just don't feel it's as deep a skill, but most likely it's a hobby. Number 5. I also kind of like Minecraft. Number 6. I'm ridiculously good at maths. I'm the only one in my group because I don't fit in the highest normal group, and even then I am like 3 times faster than my teachers expect. Number 7. I'm interested in cosmology, science, space, physics, that kind of thing. Number 8. I have another interest which, despite what you may imagine, I am not terribly good at. It is chess. My rating on chess.com is around 470, weight 510 now, as of making this, but I want to get better. Also, a honorable mention, I am talented at music, with perfect pitch and good memory. I can play a piano piece just by knowing what it sounds like. But because when I was 10 I stopped enjoying playing the piano due to constantly being forced to practice. I'm not sure if this is something I will do later in life. In general, I definitely want to get better than I currently am at all these things. You also may have seen by my videos on this channel that I try to go in insane detail about how to become good at all these things. I'm not the best at any of them, but I'm very good at all of them, which is what makes me so special, and school and laziness and me generally being interested in only one at a time are really holding me back. Later we will talk in more detail about my career so far with all these things. Now here is history of me from ages 6 to 12, mainly about my YouTube career. I cycled between obsessions and everything else you know about already. I had a YouTube channel in 2018, which now has only one video and is called Old Channel, and I switched to this channel in September that year. Let's call the food obsession I had at the time E, which is different from the one I had on my old channel, as I don't want to say what it really was. The letter E is randomly generated. On this channel, I made a video series about events related to my obsession, which I called the E-Kerfuffle. I called my new channel UF Kerfuffles, which stood for Ultra Funny Kerfuffles, later changed to YT Kerfuffles. I changed channels as I just farmed 150 subscribers on my old channel and wanted to change my ways. Now I will talk about the history of my different interests. Part 3, History of my Geometry career so far. I started doing Geometry like any player. I was 7 and on mobile at the time, and it was in the summer of 2014. My dad gave me the game. I started doing stereo madness. I got like 25% that day, learning a jump by jump. The next day, I got 63. That triple spike took hundreds of attempts in practice mode at the time, and the red bit felt like a demon nowadays, but I overcame it, and beat stereo madness in about 2 weeks. I then did back on track, and started working on Poltergeist. However, I stopped doing official levels, and just played around with map packs, auto levels, the editor, random stuff, and things like that. I then learned how to actually create levels with decoration, but I'm bad at it in 2.1. By this point, Bloodbath came out. From this point on, I asked myself how insane or extreme demons, and for a while, demons at all, were possible. I managed to do a 1,000 plus attempt practice run on Bloodbath. I was sort of aware it was the hardest demon at the time. I didn't even really think about harder levels until they came out. 2.0 came out and I was so excited about new possibilities. Eventually, I was skilled, and randomly decided to go back to Rob top levels. I beat levels 3 to 10 on the same day, but Clutterfunk was a bit harder. I don't think I really played more, until I found out that 2.1 was out. When 2.1 came out, I started playing, slowly becoming a more serious player. Within some time, I beat everything I had again, this time on an account, and realized that I could use practice mode to its full potential, by doing a part over and over again. I did this with the invisible part on Geometrical Dominator. I remember taking about 1,000 attempts to beat Finger Dash. I think Clutterfunk was a bit hard, but wasn't anything too big. Around this time, I beat my first demon, the Nightmare. It was exciting. Electrodynamics was harder, and this was how I figured out about copyables. They really helped me beat electrodynamics in about 2,500 attempts. I eventually started slowly progressing, 2% at a time, on all the official demons. I would beat many easy demons, including 2 of those, but Deadlock was hard, and I beat that much later. I also built a level called Battle Night with the song Final Battle, and I wanted it to be demon, but getting a level rated is almost impossible. It wasn't that good anyway. I'm not a good creator. I don't believe that you should need 5 layers of complex decoration to make a level good. I was mostly watching videos of extreme demons and stuff after this throughout the summer, and taking in what was going on, but not playing much, having no idea how they were possible. I later came back to playing, beat Deadlocked, and a few more easy and medium demons like Problematic, Extinction, and Mechanical Showdown. However, one day, I was doing a super hard wave challenge, and realized you could sort of get consistent. So, I decided to see if I could make a breakthrough and do something much harder. I decided to do Windy Landscape. I was 97% sure I was going to give up on the first day, but I got 68 to 100 that day. None of the parts from 68 to 100 are that hard. I tried to do 60 to 100 for way too long, and I was extremely unlucky. I started learning the rest of the level, and this alone took over 6,000 attempts. Eventually though, I got 31, 41, 51, 43 to 100, 67, then 83. One day, I was stupid, and decided to upload a cut video of the level. I pretended to try to repeat it, and got 89, then lost interest. List team, don't use this against me please. 9 months later, during Easter 2019, I got 144 Hz, then beat it in one sitting, concluding that it made a huge difference. I also beat Theory of Everything 3. I didn't really do much in GD, but 1 year later, I started on another new account, then rebeat the official levels and stuff, then started seeing videos on what I should do in order to beat Extreme Demons. I have been wanting to know how they were possible all this time, so I declared, Extreme Demon or bust. I beat 9 circles in 4,666 attempts, then Deadly Club Step in 5,603. Then I did Toe 2v2 and Space Locked in less attempts, around 2,500, then beat Doomsday 2, then decided to try another insane demon, Supersonic. I beat Supersonic, then I started streaming GD on my channel. I started to suspect a conspiracy behind Extreme Demons, as they seem too hard. I have always been suspecting this, and I was trying to prove it wrong by doing one. Basically since 2.1 I was suspecting this, before that it was demons at all. I beat a few hard demons on stream, then started another insane demon called Firewall. Unfortunately, I struggled more than I was expecting. I was kind of upset, especially when people on the Geometry-Discord server said that it was easier than Supersonic. I had to speak to my dad about attitude and mindset and stuff. I dropped Firewall then tried 8.0. I was still frustrated, so decided to take a break from GD. After 1 day, I came back then did 8.0 in 2 runs. I had been practicing an extreme demon called Cataclysm in the background, and I had done it in 5 runs by this point. The next day, I was frustrated with 8.0 again, and so I decided to try to pull another big jump. I just had to pick a good first extreme demon that would make it as successful as the Windy Landscape jump. They were still hard at the time, but a legend called Seek GD showed me a list of easy insane demons. I did Ultimate Demon Mix and Acropolis, and then I was ready for Cataclysm. After another week, on August 10th, 2020, I beat it. See my Cataclysm highlights video for more details. I recommend you watch it. Link in the description. I also finally beat Firewall, but Hypersonic is stupid hard. I ended up quitting that, and losing some interest in the game for a while. 200 Extreme Demons when? Part 4. History of my cubing career so far. With my Christmas money, 3 days before the end of 2018, I bought a Rubik's Cube. I looked up tutorials on how to solve it, and on the first day I struggled, but then before the end of the year I learned how to solve it. By the end of the year I did it in 2 minutes and 14 seconds. I got a 2x2, and solved it quickly, as it's like a 3x3 with only corners. I also bought a 4x4, and eventually learned to solve it. I also got a 5x5 and a Megaminx which was but actually wasn't for my birthday. I couldn't solve them yet. I solved the 5x5 and got a Pyraminx. I then got a 6x6 and 7x7. I figured out a luck-based atrociously inefficient method for the 6x6. It took over an hour. But then, after seeing tutorials for the 7x7, I suddenly could solve any size cube. They were expensive though. I got everything up to an 11x11, and during this time I learned both the Pyraminx and Megaminx. I also got a Gigaminx, after a lot of unnecessary fighting, then a 4x4 Megaminx, and I could solve any size minx now. I also got a Teraminx. Around this time, I learned CFOP and a better method for bigger cubes. Also, I got a 12x12 after a month of anxiety caused by waiting for it. At the end of June 2019, I had all the minxes from 2 to 9 and a 13x13 cube. I then unboxed more cubes and solved some a bit more. No notable events occurred, but please make a full set of stickerless minxes for God's sake. And also I got a 15x15. I also made a video scrolling through a book covering my cubing career in more detail. I recommend you watch it. Link in the description. Part 5. History of my other careers so far. Maths. I am ridiculously talented when it comes to maths. When I was 2, I figured out my timetables. When I was like 5, I was doing all sorts of interesting things, learning about pi and exponents and that kind of thing. Now, at 13, I am hopeful about being really successful, being always 5 years or more ahead of my time. Pi. Do you guys know this? I have no proof, but when I was 5 years old I had memorized 1,000 digits. I did it again when I was 8. I learned about pi early, just like with everything about maths, and became interested in the digits, and basically started casually learning them. Then, when I was around 11 or 12, I went further, peaking at 2,850 digits. Now, at 13, I know 2,000 again and I am intimidated to go much beyond that, but I found a strategy and there may be hope to get to 10,000, but more than that seems impossible. Incrementals. One time my dad was looking around on the internet or something, then I went to see what he was doing, and he said I'm making cookies. He was playing Cookie Clicker, so I tried it and liked it a lot, but then it stopped working on an iPad, so I would get mobile rip-offs, and I was like 8 at the time, and I often borrowed a computer to do playthroughs. When I was 12 years old, I got my own computer and did a much longer Cookie Clicker run and got about 42 to 45 orders of magnitude or so. Then, when I was almost 13, I got into antimatter dimensions from Douglas Shamlin Jr., who got me into a lot of things. Legend says he even got me into cubing too. I first reached eternity on my 13th birthday, and did a series on the game, link in description, but then quit after getting banned from the Discord server. Googology. When I was like literally 4, I was already working with exponents, and had a passion for big numbers. When I was around 6 or 7, I started learning about the Alien series, learning the pattern for hundreds of orders of magnitude, and also Google and Googleplex. When I was 8, I learned how to get to Graham's number. This was a new level. Then, when I was 11 and a half, again, Douglas Shamlin Jr. got me into even bigger numbers using crazy notations. Boy, they get genuinely complicated. Minecraft. So when I was 8, my dad got me Minecraft, and I played in creative, building big brick box houses and digging to the bottom of the world, but over the next years, I learned more about the game, and how to play in survival, and it is now one of my main interests. Science? I have always been passionate about space and science and cosmology and stuff. One day I watched a video about big stars. I was probably 6 at the time, and I was really interested and watched a lot of size comparisons, learning about small and big stuff. It wasn't until about 12 that I learned in more detail how everything worked, and made a 2-hour video about it, which I will put a link to in the description, but I always knew a lot of it. Chess. With chess, it started when I was 8 years old and my really good dad, as you can tell, showed me the Play Magnus app. I beat him at age 6.5, then occasionally got into it for a few weeks. And now my rating is hard stuck at 500 for the foreseeable future. Part 6. My 2020 so far. As you can imagine, 2020 has been crazy and challenging for me. This is the story. At the beginning of 2020, I had been playing Antimatter Dimensions, which I will call AD, and I started a series at the end of February. My life seemed to be all put together around this time, and then in early March, the pandemic took over everyone's life, and I mean literally everyone alive's life. It quickly fell apart, as doing any kind of remote learning was just simply too difficult for me. I became overwhelmed in the first week. However, my parents and teachers wanted me to do more, so I was fighting brutally with my parents as my teacher came up with a new plan every 2 days of how to do the work, all of which failed. Then, the Easter holidays were finally coming up, but I was worried about my parents coming during AD recordings, which I wanted to spend Easter doing, so I asked my parents to move the computer to my room, but apparently, because of how badly remote learning went, I couldn't be trusted. Then the next day, Dad came during a recording, and me and my parents had a huge fight. This is how my life first fell apart after being together. I didn't think I could even enjoy my Easter. But then, doing AD videos like this turned out not to be so bad. I did 5 videos a day sometimes over the Easter. Then school started again, and they changed how remote learning worked, and I could kind of do it. With this, and AD, my life was together for the second time, until May 15th. I accidentally posted a spoiler on the Antimatter Dimensions Discord, and after having already been kicked, this was my last warning. I blew up Alexitato's DMs, and he invited me to a server for autistic people like me called Aspie Friends, but when I got into a fight, I was banned from Aspie Friends. Around this time, I had technical problems with my computer, and it took a while to fix, so I was upset that I lost that time, so I skipped my English class. My teacher wanted me to do the task that week, but I didn't want to do a task outside the normal time, and I didn't see any other way out, so I lied. Around this time, I was also going back to GD a bit, and was practicing 9 circles. When I got caught lying about the English assignment, a fight started which took days to solve, which explains some announcements on my Discord on May 22nd about me being worried about losing access to my computer as a punishment. That night, I noticed that I was banned from the AD server. Let's just say, I reacted very harshly, and caused drama, and became infamous. In both the incremental and GD communities, I am generally hated, with comments like if he is not underage I will grind VSC until I beat it, or when I'm temping from a server, they use unbelievable and say remind ban duration worst day ever. I can't stand this hate. I've tried to DM a few people in these situations thinking they will be the only ones who like me. With the AD drama, I was depressed again. This was the second time my life fell apart. I wished Boo and the rest of the AD community would understand that I only vandalized the wiki because my Asperger's stops me from understanding implicit things, so I didn't know it was common sense to not make big changes to wikis. But I knew once Boo explained. However, life started to come back together in June, when the AD drama cooled off a bit, and I was doing a lot of hard demons in GD. During the second half of June, I grinded supersonic, then on the last day of school before summer, I beat it. I thought it was just the first half of 2020 that was bad. I even started going out again. I started streaming GD, and I beat another 2 hard demons, Fairy Dust and Rebellion. But then, the gorilla was going to step on my internet router and take an hour to buy a new one, so I was really annoyed. I also started grinding Firewall, an insane demon, and it was hard. This combined made me really upset, but then, the internet day passed, but I was still stuck in GD. Basically, I couldn't do insane demons or jump to an extreme demon, and I was stuck, and needed a difficulty between hard and insane demons. Around this time, in early July, I realized that in the summer, the coronavirus was still very much a problem. I missed everything that I normally did in the summer, and started getting anxious about everything. You can see this in my announcements in my Discord in early mid-July. I want to say thank you to the Discord user with ID 5127003077772407828. Ping that ID in Discord to see who this is, for trying to help me during this time, but unfortunately, venting, and everything else, is not enough. However, in mid-July, things took a turn for the better, as the absolute legend with Discord ID 7195957828392058888 showed me a chart with good insane demons. I grinded Ultimate Demon Mix and Acropolis. I started going for Cataclysm, knowing that finally doing an extreme demon was the only good thing that could happen that summer. I was going to go on a sort of vacation though, and didn't know if the internet would be good, and it wasn't, but when I changed the settings, it was, and I beat Cataclysm on August 10th. For the rest of the summer, I grinded Hypersonic until I got 76%, taking another 3 months to beat it. I raged a lot. Nothing really happened, but I was a bit worried about school for various reasons, and oh boy, it was way worse than I could have imagined. On August 31st, I visited school to meet my teachers and stuff, and I couldn't tolerate the mask because of the nose irritation. I was really anxious all day. Then, on September 2nd, the new lunch food, the mask, the 90-minute lessons, and every other little thing, hit me all at once. I could not tolerate this, and demanded remote learning, and even was violent about it. My mom told me that if I did remote learning, they would be 100 times stricter with me than I could tolerate, and not even care about my feelings. I went back to school with a packed lunch, and other things to make it better for me. Then I was quickly able to not tolerate school, but at least not be violent after school every day. However, I could not possibly do homework whatsoever. Then, on the Friday of the first week, I played GD, to find what could have been the worst situation I have ever been through in 2020, and probably my whole life. My finger hurt. Not like really intense pain, but like tired muscle pain, as if I had been playing for 5 hours. It was more of a psychological pain than a physical one. Everyone seems to associate this with permanent damage, and it was present for a few weeks, and I couldn't just quit GD. I want to do more extreme demons, but I'm still generally more tired after school, and have less time. I want to do 200 extreme demons, and with over 6 weeks between 1 and 2, this was not looking good, especially as the GD community is cold-blooded enough to want 2.2, which puts even more pressure, and anything, like GD becoming incompatible. 2.2 stopping me from doing what I want to do, real-life stuff, might stop me doing GD. School closed for 2 weeks due to COVID cases in school, and I did get a negative test, but that's not my point. I was very anxious. I felt like there was no pleasure in life anymore, with all these things stopping me from playing GD. The finger got a bit better, and I got 91% on hypersonic, but when trying to beat it on my friend Jacobender's birthday, and sucking at the level as much as I did almost 2 months earlier, caused me to quit the level. And I kind of moved on from GD, but I did beat it on November 14th. Also, about school, it was the bane of my entire existence. Let me break it down for you. I have many interests and talents, which we discussed earlier. How am I supposed to get better at all these things and fulfill my long-term goals if school takes my whole day, then makes me tired in the time I do have, so I suck at them anyway? And this is just one part of the problem. The school system is actually useless, bad, and outdated. It is causing me way too much stress, and I just want to not have to go. In the last week of October, I had a week off, but since mid-August, I have been anxious about school and experiencing Sunday night feelings without ever having a break from those feelings. I get mad at people who say school sucks because that is like saying stepping on Lego bricks is really good. It's too much of an understatement. In November, I started to not mind school that much, but they decided to close the restaurants but not school for 2 weeks. SMH my head, and despite vacation cravings, I can't for a long time. I can't make the time seem short. Someone help me. Basically 2020 has been like this animation. As you can see, at the end I have very little space to breathe, and I literally feel like this animation is actually happening, only with everything slowed down, so the suffering is over a long time. I am drowning in depression. I still can't do homework. Part 7, a talk about my future. Recently, I have been focused a lot on my future. All I need in order to be happy in life is to reach these 13 goals, which are split into my different interests and what will make me happy in general. Goal 1, beat Cookie Clicker and antimatter dimensions and other good incrementals, and play them more for fun, also when updates come out. Also, make a really good incremental. Goal 2, understand all of modern Googology and the biggest computable numbers we have made using notations, and possibly extend it. Goal 3, in vanilla survival Minecraft with no cheats, get every item, raid every structure, kill every mob, explore every biome in every dimension, and do everything there is to do in a world where I started in whatever the latest version is, unless I really don't like a version. Have the history of this world be recorded somehow. Goal 4, beat 200 extreme demons made before 2.2 in Geometry Dash, and beat the golden, and a few list or legacy list challenges. Goal 5, get to 5, 3, 3, 3, 2.5, 2.5 times the world record pace on 2x2 to 7x7 Rubik's Cubes respectively, and 2 times on 8x8 up. Get to 3 times the world record pace on Kilominx and Megaminx, and 2 times on all minxes from 4 up. Goal 6, memorize 10,000 decimal places of pi. Goal 7, get to 2,000 ELO in chess, and possibly Grandmaster level. Goal 8, do math at a really high level, and become one of the best mathematicians in the world, possibly ready to make a new discovery. Goal 9, understand everything we know about the universe really well, and make a new discovery if possible. Goal 10, make a comfortable amount of money like I already have been, plus enough to support all these interests. Goal 11, have a lot of pleasure in general. Goal 12, have a big Discord server and YouTube channel centered around most of this. Goal 13, make my living and spend my time doing a combination of the above. So if I can know I will meet every one of these goals, I will never worry about anything ever again. This is why the finger pain was possibly the worst thing I ever experienced, as finishing all of these will black and white determine if I am happy in the future. That's it about me. Bye.